Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Guman-Singh in our top story. The Virgin Islands Legislature Senate President recently toured and met with some medical evacuees from the Virgin Islands. The Department of Health has informed that they are working on expanding communication with patients from the territory, and the department's commissioner will soon be visiting the facilities. News 2's Stephanie Brown has an update.
According to the Virgin Islands Department of Health, nearly 400 residents were medically evacuated from the territory to South Carolina, Atlanta, Louisiana, Puerto Rico, and Mississippi.
We know we have been tracking each one, and we know where they all are. They each have a caseworker that is working with them in each state. There is also a patient advocate in the territory for those individuals that have been evacuated, as well as a patient liaison.
On popular radio talk shows, some of the medical evacuees expressed concerns over the lack of communication between the Department of Health themselves and their caretakers. Commissioner Michelle Davis' scheduled visit to Atlanta was canceled last week, but another visit to expand on the Department of Health's line of communication is upcoming.
She's also planning to take a trip to Atlanta to meet with the dialysis patients that we do have in Atlanta. There are about 130, from what I understand, are in Atlanta, and we're also going to be meeting with the authorities in that state.
The commissioner will also travel this week.
Actually, the commissioner is planning to travel to Puerto Rico next week, Wednesday, and to meet with some of those individuals who were evacuated as a result of medical conditions, and also with the authorities that are in Puerto Rico.
In October, it was reported that 3 medical evacuees had died, but there hasn't been any statements by evacuees negatively speaking on the care being offered. In Atlanta, Senator Myron Jackson recently toured the medical facilities providing services to the evacuees. He appeared on radio with a grassroots organization operating between Georgia and the Virgin Islands that has been assisting these patients.
The main issue, or the main complaint overall of all circumstances that we got from our initial assessments, was food and the culturally insensitive meals that were being provided. It was never a lack of care. It was never unsafe living conditions. It was food. That was overall the main complaint, was food.
For News 2, I'm Stephanie Shalana Brown.
Count on 2 to keep you updated. Well, VI Port Authority's Executive Director David Mapp gave an update on the authority's hurricane restoration progress post Hurricanes Irma and Maria. He said VIPA sustained over $85 million in hurricane-related damages to its port's facilities. He said insurance adjusters have completed preliminary assessments and are now conducting more detailed appraisals. The Port Authority has selected Limartec as the construction manager at risk for restoration work of its 118 affected properties. The Cyril E. King Airport Terminal in St. Thomas was severely damaged. The entire roof, he says, was damaged and windows were blown in, which led to extensive flooding and destruction of property. Most airlines have resumed service to St. Thomas, but are only offering 1 flight per day until repairs to the terminal are completed. However, American Airlines has recently added a second daily flight to St. Thomas. The damaged terminal gates have been repaired, he says, and the pre-clearance area at the King Terminal is ready to accept travelers. However, normal operations will not resume until TSA has completed an assessment of its equipment and staffing. VIPA's goal is to fully reopen the Cyril E. King Airport Terminal by mid-December 2017. Henry E. Rolson Airport on St. Croix. Here's an update there. American Airlines and JetBlue have resumed service to St. Croix. Looking at the seaports, VIPA's cruise docking facilities at the Ann Abramson Marine Facility on St. Croix and the Austin Monsanto Marine Facility on St. Thomas are prepared to accept cruise ships. Some of the Crown-based center stores were damaged and are being repaired. The Edward Blyden Terminal on the Charlotte-Motley waterfront was being rehabilitated prior to the storms. He said the new elevator should be ready for public use by December 2017. Additional upgrades to the terminal and hurricane damage repairs should be completed during the first quarter of 2018. The 2-level parking garage at the Erman Fredericks Terminal at Red Hook that was under construction before the storms was wrecked. Reconstruction of the parking garage is now slated to be completed in April 2018. On St. John, the Theobald Moorhead facility at Enide Pond is closed until damaged boats have been removed from the pond. Barges have been temporarily relocated to the Victor Sewer facility at the creek in Cruz Bay. There are no U.S. Customs clearance services provided on St. John, as both the U.S. Customs building and VIPA's administrative offices on St. John were destroyed. He said these buildings will be replaced with modular units. A cleanup of the Laurendon Boynes Senior Dock in Cruz Bay took place today. And this morning, work was underway on an area that was causing some headaches for drivers. In an effort to make the area passable, ongoing efforts by the Department of Public Works due to the damages caused by Hurricanes Irma and Maria. The department continued some road repair as crews worked on the Smith Bay Road in the area adjacent to the Margaritaville entrance. A vacuum truck was used to unclog the nearby drainage system, which they say will alleviate the excessive flooding of the roadway. Once that work is completed, crews will fill holes with aggregate as a temporary resolution until a permanent fix is in place. Traffic flow will be reduced to one lane, and this work is expected to continue throughout the week. The Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority is reminding all haulers to avoid overloading vehicles, which they say could cause materials to fall on the roadways. Also, all trucks should have proper tailgates and tarps to continue the waste. VI Waste Management Authority is asking the community to continue to assist in their cleanup efforts by leaving only household waste in the designated sites throughout the island. Now, for more information, you can always call them at 340-513-7236 or email communications@viwma.org. Here's an update.
We're severely damaged along with the whole entire building. I mean, I think in talking to some of the different federal agencies here, they're saying that our building was one of the ones that was damaged, severely damaged throughout the hurricane. So, and as far as what we're having to do, I've actually had to relocate our staff to our landfill and wastewater treatment plant. We actually have some temporary trailers there in order to function. It took us, and we just now got to the point where we have internet and we're functioning, not necessarily as normal, but we're getting, slowly but surely, my staff is getting closer to functioning more on a normal basis. Well, as of right now, since the volume of trash that's being created is still at that 4 to 5 times the normal rate, we've extended the hours of the landfill to, certain days we're up right until 10 p.m. We have our haulers that are operating obviously that late to deal with the additional trash. So until we start seeing a decrease in the amount of trash that's being generated, we're going to still continue to operate with extended hours because we know that we have to handle the trash, and if it's still coming, I need to make sure that we have our contractors there along with my staff to be able to handle that trash, because we don't want to have any health issues.
Officer Amari Lewis, and this is another cleanup underway to report about. Officer Amari Lewis, who is the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Planning and Environmental Resources, in this picture shakes hands with Mark Weiser after Weiser's vessel was salvaged and returned November 18, 2017, under special consideration for federal assistance. Now, the Coast Guard wants you to know that owner assistance may be available under special consideration, allowing a vessel owner to have their property salvaged, cleaned of any potential pollutants, temporarily repaired, and then transferred from the emergency support function operations to DP&R to be returned to the owner. Vessel salvage operations on St. Thomas saw success with salvaging and returning of hurricane-displaced vessels to owners this past weekend. All vessels salvaged by the U.S. Coast Guard working under Federal Emergency Management Agency Authorized Emergency Support Function 10 authorization. They are transferred to DP&R after the vessels have been removed of all potential marine pollutants. DP&R then oversees the further disposition of the vessels, including returning vessels to owners under the special consideration federal assistance. Vessel owners have until December 1st to contact DP&R and declare their intentions. If owners do not have insurance or a way to self-salvage their vessel, they can request special consideration for federal assistance or waive their rights to their vessel. Owners can contact DPNR through the Vessel Owner Notification Hotline, 340-423-6353, or by email, usvidpnr@gmail.com for more information, and we will have more on the vessel salvage operations by the Coast Guard. Acting United States Attorney Joyce Hewitt announced today that the Virgin Islands Police Department will be able to hire 4 additional full-time officers for 3 years, and that's thanks to a grant of about $586,000 from the Department of Justice's Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services Hiring Program. She said the Virgin Islands is one of 179 law enforcement agencies throughout the country to receive a total of $98,495,000 to hire 802 officers to address specific local crime problems throughout community policing strategies. U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions made that announcement Monday and urged local authorities to work with federal law enforcement. Hewlett said this award provides an opportunity for law enforcement to directly engage with community members and build mutual trust and respect. The COPS Hiring Program, CHP, provides grant funding directly to state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies to support hiring additional career law enforcement officers. Well, President Donald Trump placed North Korea back on the list of state sponsors of terrorism. Trump announced the move Monday during a public meeting with his cabinet at the White House and said that the Treasury Department will announce new sanctions against North Korea on Tuesday. He said today the United States is designating the North Korea as a state sponsor of terrorism. Should have happened a long time ago, should have happened years ago, Trump said. North Korea was removed from that list from President George Bush in 2008. Trump said that North Korea has repeatedly sponsored acts of terrorism, including assassinations on foreign soil. This designation, he says, will impose further sanctions and penalties on North Korea and supports our maximum pressure campaign to isolate the murderous regime, Trump said. The question of whether Trump would reinstall North Korea to the list hung over the president's recent Asia trip. Trump told reporters early in his visit that his administration would make an announcement on North Korea very soon, and the White House press secretary Sarah Sanders told reporters that the announcement would come at the end of the trip. Keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. Taking a look at the numbers there, the Dow up 72, NASDAQ 7, S&P 500 up 3. Coming up on News 2, an update from the Department of Agriculture from the Commissioner, Carlos Robles, and the WAPA restoration update. That and more coming up. Welcome back. Department of Agriculture's Commissioner Carlos Robles says he is communicating with the USDA on a national level so they can bring in some additional feed to hold the animals they have been managing since the storm's over until the economy picks back up and suppliers can get back into their routines. The department should be receiving some feed for pig, goat, sheep, and chicken, just to name a few. Meanwhile, here's another update from the Commissioner.
The USDA sent someone directly to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands to report back to Secretary Sonny Perdue with regarding what the situation is here on the ground. His name is Carlos Suarez, and he has met with me several times, and we continue to have a dialogue weekly. We also have been going out to farms, but we also had 2 large meetings with farmers, as many as we could get the word out to on each island, where essentially there were listening sessions for him, as well as opportunities for the local USDA representatives for the Natural Resources Conservation Service and the Farm Service Agency to bring to farmers what they had to offer, along with for them to hear from farmers regarding their issues. They have sent an additional staff member into St. Thomas right now to assist with the recovery. They will be assigning some additional folks to the territory to work with farmers who are going to be added to the existing programs, along with farmers who have already been in some of the programs, to be able to qualify them and to fill out the applications necessary to get disaster assistance. We are also exploring other options, because one of the things that was made evident in both meetings and has been re-emphasized by myself and some of the farmers is that there ought to be some additional special consideration given to the fact that we had 2 Category 5 hurricanes in 12 days. But for right now, there's some quick emergency things that could happen for livestock, especially those that have lost animals. We learned that there's some assistance for tree losses as well. There's some things in there for beekeepers, and we're exploring those, and we're asking those folks, especially those around St. Croix, nearest to the USDA offices, to stop into the office and find out what's available and what you can get started. Those on St. Thomas, we're working towards the first week in December to have a follow-up meeting to those other meetings where we are able to begin taking applications from those who have leases and have authorization to be on properties controlled by the Virgin Islands Department of Agriculture, plus private farmers who have their own land and suffered damages. We're going to be having a follow-up meeting, I believe, the first week in December, and those announcements will be made so that farmers can begin filling out applications to get into the USDA system and then to make themselves available for other services and programs that are coming down the line.
Thanks for that update, Commissioner. Well, FEMA reps remind you that all of the disaster recovery centers, the DRCs, will be closed on Thursday in recognition of Thanksgiving, but they will reopen the following day. Meanwhile, the Blue Roof Army Corps of Engineers remind you that you have until Thursday, November 23rd, for survivors to apply for the temporary roof repairs through Operation Blue Roof. Right of entry forms, they are available at the ROE centers across the territory. Now, the deadline was extended until Thursday, November 23rd, for survivors to apply. Homes with a temporary roof repair under the Operation Blue Roof are not excluded from power restoration by the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority. And speaking about the holidays, they are near, and we want to include our special Thanksgiving segment. We like to call it In the Spirit of Giving. Now, they say all attendees will receive enough groceries for a Thanksgiving meal for a family of 5. They say, let's come together as one community to give thanks for life. Churches of the Virgin Islands, they present the feeding of the 5,000. They say each night features some well-known gospel artists, and that's one of the group there practicing for the main event. Now, it will also include speakers that they say will provide hope and healing for the hurting. Now, that began on November 19th and is continuing tomorrow evening at the Fort Christian parking lot from 6 p.m. to 7:30. The 10,000 helpers of St. Croix, they will be providing some Thanksgiving lunches this Wednesday. The organization, located on Hospital Street in Frederickstead, near the St. Patrick's Church, needs the community support, whether you would like to volunteer your services or donate some food items. Malik Stradiron of the 10,000 Helpers spoke further.
10,000 Helpers is a nonprofit organization that is here to assist mentally ill males who may or may not have a substance abuse issue. And we're gonna do a pre-Thanksgiving luncheon, but we're gonna do it, delivering it out to the community itself. We're gonna start from Frederickstead all the way up to Christianstead, and we're gonna give food, well, deliver food to the different men, female, children, whomever it is that we see that may fit the description of being homeless, that are on the street. We're gonna go into the housing community and seek our seniors, our disabled. So if you wanna assist, whether it be financially or by contributing forks, plates, spoons, pans, sodas, juices, whatever it is, we will be here, and we like to accept any donations, and we are a 501c3.
Okay, well, the loud and proud crew members say we all got more than enough reasons to be thankful for life and family, and they want to give back. They are inviting you to join them on Saturday, November 25th from 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. as they hold a Give Thanks Link Up. They say they will be giving out some hurricane relief supplies and more. And they say we know how difficult things have been, so why not help each other out and enjoy an afternoon filled with music, free supplies, and more music. Meanwhile, they say they realize that in recovery mode, you may have been distracted from the kitchen table. So 21 U.S. Virgin Islands Hurricane Help, they brought a bag of goodies for Thanksgiving, organized by NBA Hall of Famer Tim Duncan. Hundreds of hurricane survivors filled the parking lot for the distribution of food and even generators and refrigerators. Distribution started around 10:30 a.m. on Friday, as we reported, at the Lorraine Shopping Center parking lot, and continued Sunday, November 19th, in the VI Housing Finance Authority's parking lot. The event drew many who were grateful. Well, here's the latest restoration update from Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority's John Griot. John?
On St. John Friday, crews restored additional customers in Cruise Bay, Bethany, Fish Bay, and Estate Adrian, while other crews planted poles in George Simmons Terrace and from Chocolate Hole to Pond Bay. Work continued on the main lines from Cruise Bay to Coral Bay. On St. Thomas, additional customers were restored in Savannah and from the Four Corners intersection towards Solberg. Crews worked in Cookie Point, New Tutu, Plantation Manor, Frenchtown, the Maud Proudfoot Drive near the entrance to Blackbeard's Castle, Hawk Hill, and on the road towards the Seaview Nursing Home. The potable water pump station in Savannah and the nearby Janie Tuitt School were returned to the electrical grid on Friday. On St. Croix, crews energized primary circuits on West Airport Road to Centerline Road and from Mountain Gas Station towards Central High School. Additional customers on Feeder 8B in Barron Spot and Mary's Fancy were restored on Friday. About 50% of Queen's Quarter on Feeder 5A has been re-energized. On Feeder 3A, additional customers were restored in Catherine's Rest, Work and Rest, the Frederickstead Credit Union, and a VINGN facility. Reconstruction work continued on Feeder 4A in Estate Rattan, with electrical service to customers expected next week. Continued work on St. Thomas over the weekend will require partial and full road closures as broken poles are removed and new poles are planted. On Sunday, one lane of the Crown Bay Access Road leading past Tropical Shipping and Crowley Maritime Corporation, MSI Building Supplies, and the Sea Chest will be closed to vehicular traffic. Also on Sunday, a portion of the Subbase Road from the Pueblo parking lot toward Doctor's Choice Pharmacy intersection will be closed to vehicular traffic. On both Saturday and Sunday, 2 lanes of Maud Proudfoot Drive from the Blackbeard's Castle entrance to Jarvis School will be closed as crews reconstruct a portion of Feeder 8A. Crews will also work this weekend on the Scott-Free Road toward the lower portion of Solberg. Motorists are advised to follow the directions of flaggers and police officers who will be directing traffic flow through those work areas.
Thanks for that update, John. And stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.
We've had some very wet weather off to the west today. Some parts of the area, especially out west into parts of northwestern Puerto Rico, have had some heavy showers and even a little flooding problem. You can see the satellite loop showing those big clusters of showers and storms. They're a little more widespread over Puerto Rico, a little bit more restricted, and we're not seeing as many of them over the Virgin Islands. So again, not a bad day for us. Could be far worse. We welcome the dry weather. But again, there are a few little showers out there. Here's the satellite estimated radar showing that the bulk of the excitement is about 100 miles to our west, maybe 200 miles in some cases. We're on track for 77 tonight. Partly cloudy, pretty pleasant for us. Tomorrow, 85. It'll be a breezy time, though. The wind will pick up a bit from where we have been today. Into St. Thomas, 85, a little breezier. Maybe a stray shower, doesn't look widespread, though. And then into St. Croix, we'll go partly sunny and warm, 88 degrees there. The forecast as we move forward here shows 3 to 5 foot waves on the Atlantic side and we're not going to see any real changes here. On the Caribbean side, also 3 to 5 footers out there, pretty much a uniform marine forecast for you. As we step ahead here, the extended forecast through the American Thanksgiving holiday on Thursday. You probably noticed some extra travelers, by the way, with the obvious extended weekend coming up, so maybe a few others from the continental U.S. taking to the seas and visiting. And we have a pretty decent setup here. We'll be breezy. We're into that windier time of the year. 85 degrees, very consistent in the forecast. 77, also very consistent for our lows. We'll have some passing showers on a nearly daily basis, and that breeze will be the big deal. A year ago, we had a landfalling hurricane in the Central America area around Thanksgiving. Thankfully, we're not seeing that this time around. In fact, the tropics are very quiet when it comes to tropical storms or possible hurricane development. Back to you, Sandy.
Thanks for that. Looking at our News 2 weather picture there by Jashara Williams, second grader, sharing some sunshine, blue skies, and white puffy clouds. Jashara, thank you for that bright outlook. Send us your News 2 weather picture to the address on the screen, and tune in to see it right here on News 2. Stick around. News 2 Sports comes your way next.
I'm Gary Anthony, and this is News 2 Sports. Remember the classic Western, the good, the bad, the ugly? Well, we got a front row seat to that in the NFL yesterday. Starting with the good, let's head to the Big Easy as the Saints host the Washington Redskins. Jumping to the third quarter, and Skins QB Kirk Cousins takes a monster hit, ouch, while throwing a 40-yard TD to the wide-open Ryan Grant. Skins are up 24-13. On to the fourth quarter, and Cousins to a wide-open Jeremy Sprinkle. Sounds like a dessert topping. 31-16. Skins are leading with less than 6 minutes left. Game over, right? Wrong. Drew Brees to Josh Hill. Now it's 31-23 Redskins lead. Under 3 minutes left. Saints defense with a huge stop on 3rd and 1. Saints get the ball back. And Brees to Alvin Kamara with the bobble and the score. 31-30. Saints, they've got to go for 2. And Kamara with the conversion. Score tied at 31. On to overtime we go. Mark Ingram with the 50-yard scamper up the sideline. And that sets up the 28-yard field goal for the win. Saints snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, 34-31. Now for the bad. The winless Cleveland Browns hosting a surprisingly good Jacksonville Jaguars. Fourth quarter, 2 minutes left. Browns with the football and down by 6. Browns QB Deshaun Kaiser, fumble, recovered by the Jags. Game over, right? Wrong. After further review, the officials say Kaiser was in the grasp before the fumble. Browns still have the football. New life until Kaiser hit from behind, loose ball. Jags recover in the end zone, and the Browns find another way to lose, 19-7. Welcome to 0-10, Cleveland. Population youth. Now for the ugly. Bills in LA versus the Chargers, and in the thick of the playoff hunt, the Bills bench QB Tyrod Taylor for rookie quarterback Nathan Peterman. It did not go well. Making his first NFL regular season start, Peterman throws 5 interceptions in the first half as the Bills get buffaloed 54-24. That's it for sports. Sandy, back to you.
Thanks for that, Gary. And that is all for this edition of News 2. We'd like to thank you for joining us for all the latest in news, weather, and sports. On behalf of all of us, have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next time.